Developing vaccines against asthma, allergy and human hookworm is the long-term ambition of Professor Graham Le Gros. Already he's devoted decades of his life to this goal that involves striving to better understand how the immune system responds to allergens and parasites. He's the Malaghan Institute's Chief Executive and Director of Research, heading its research program into allergic and parasitic diseases. His team is looking into ways of treating inflammatory diseases in the skin, lungs and gut. In 2005, Professor Le Gros was elected a Fellow of the Royal Society of New Zealand in recognition of his research contributions to the fields of immunology and asthma. First, we talked about his desire to better understand the human immune system.
Well, actually, it's a recent discovery just how extensive the immune system is. It's actually throughout our body, and it really does influence every aspect of our life or the health, our general physiological health. But let's just start. Where does it start? It starts obviously in the fetus, and you're born with the certain rudiments of an immune system. And I think I would really urge everyone to just take the time to learn a little bit about the immune system, because it really can change their life if they have a bit of understanding with respect to vaccination and why vaccination is so good, but also the way you treat your body and the things you do to it. And it actually sets you up for a very healthy life. But let's get back to how the immune system starts. You're basically born with a rudiment of immune system. You actually are given a bit of a sweet run for a while because you sort of borrow parts of the immune system from your mum. And through the serum transfer, through the milk, a lot of goodies are actually passed over, which actually lasts for a year or so. And that gives a chance for your own inbuilt immune system to start evolving and adapting. And the really powerful word, adapting to the environment that child lives in, and actually the food that child will eat. And so when you start to understand that, you say, oh, so my immune system is one part of our body which really becomes uniquely adapted to where I live, how I live, what I do to my body. And it really has a remarkable ability to buffer a lot of things and enable us to cope with lots of either different types of diseases, allergenic challenges, all sorts of things. But one of the things is that we've obviously learned how to control our environments. We live in very funny places in New York City or in very extreme environments where we wouldn't normally have been able to live in the past. And so we're getting exposed to very extreme microenvironments, if you like. And so we have to pay attention that some things may be missing when we actually need our immune system to evolve and become a very healthy thing for our bodies as an adult.
Well, let's go back to that time when we are reliant on our mum, in particular our mothers, to help our immune system. So what, for parents listening to this, new parents listening to this, what is some of the advice that you can give to try and boost a child's immune system, baby's immune system?
Yeah. Well, it's not just boosting, because you don't want an overreactive immune system. One of the most strangest paradoxes we've just recently discovered is that you've got to actually tolerize a good part of the immune system to things that you're going to eat regularly and normally. And you can have a history of allergies to certain foods, and it seems that for a lot of people, it's not beneficial to be avoiding that food. You actually have to start very early in life and learn to be able to adapt and to be tolerized to that. And so eating just normal food, good food, the food that you've been exposed to as an adult is a very important thing.
So try and give your child, when they are starting to come onto solids, a range of foods. Because I think parents now are very, in our day, you ate everything that was on the plate. You know?
Yes. We've actually gone from 50 years ago where we ate everything that's on the plate and everything that was actually outside, including the cat's milk and all the other yuckies that were in the lawn, to a very refined environment, and actually found that made a very narrow window on the education of our immune system, and it actually tended to overreact to things that it didn't see in that first year of life. And that's where that whole dirt hypothesis comes. We don't need dirt. We just need to be exposed to the right kinds of things and the right levels too. People can overdo it. As humans, we tend to obsess and just go absolutely over the top. The Goldilocks phenomenon. Not too much, not too little, but just a good amount, normal amount of environmental exposures is a very healthy immune system.
Yeah, and there's a lot of awareness of gluten intolerance and peanut intolerance. Is this all linked in with the immune system?
Yeah, this changes? Is all absolutely. And your immune system needs to see those things early on. When it's really, in that first year of life, it's actually open to education, because it's actually buffered by, I suppose, the immune components that have come from the mum. as the child starts to grow, and I'm being very simplistic here, as the child starts to grow and evolve, it loses the mum's benefits and starts to be out on its own. So you've got this nice window where your own inbuilt immune system learns to know what's dangerous and what's actually quite harmless and needs to, like food, needs to come in.
Well, I mean, we hear of lactose intolerance, and I think that's understood. But are there ever instances of a child under 1 or 2 having a peanut intolerance, for example, so early? Or does they tend to develop later?
I'm not a clinician in that sense. I don't see but I know that it can. I've just been told it can go from this earliest year in life to actually until 90, as far as the peanut. You can start to become allergic to peanuts. And that's the other thing to remember, that as we go through life, you can have a major event which can affect your immune system. You can have chemotherapy, which really can knock all the immune system away, and there's often consequences as the immune system tries to come back. You could actually have a very severe virus infection. Say you haven't had your flu vaccine and you get a good flu virus, and your immune system can get really wiped down by having to deal with this very dangerous pathogen. And then when it rebuilds itself, it can rebuild itself in a different way. So there can be consequences from very severe infections, septicemia, or drugs.
What can we do to try and give our immune system the best chance we can?
Diversity of environments, diversity of foods, and also stay away from those highly processed, very, very defined foods, because sometimes they've got hidden dangers in that they've got long shelf lives for very good reasons. They're very stable storage proteins. We know that can actually have consequences later on.
What are the key areas then that researchers such as yourself are investigating at the moment?
Well, we've got a major responsibility right now. The recent advances that we can turn our immune system to fight cancer has really opened a big, big door, a very important door. Everyone's aware cancer just comes in and just seems to be, despite all the heroics and everything else, takes our lives, and people often go in terrible ways, hair loss, gut loss, everything as the chemotherapy drugs take their hold. The recent discoveries that the immune system can be turned on to the cancer and really deal a fatal blow to the cancer and get rid of it makes it responsible on us immunologists to find better and better ways to make the immune therapy able to get other types of cancer. At the moment it's really against leukemias, melanoma, some lung cancers, but there's a whole lot of other cancers which come in. We don't know how to turn the immune system against them, but we need to find ways to do that.
And is this what you're looking at?
And this is exactly what the Malaghan Institute is trying to do. The door's been opened. There's a fantastic future ahead of us. If we can just find the ways to unlock all the many secrets that the immune system seems to have. I wish it didn't have so many secrets, but it does have a lot of secrets, and it seems that there's a tremendous effort worldwide, our international partners, ourselves, to really find ways to make better therapies for all the cancers that human beings suffer from.
We get excited and we think the word cure.
Yeah.
But this is not a cure. Is this more about trying to...
I have to say, with the immune therapies that are coming through, for some people, for some lucky people, we have an effective cure for the normal lifespan of that person. We're still waiting for how long some of these people will live for, because it's only just been open now, and the people haven't come into their normal lives. But it seems as though for some significant proportion of people there is a cure affected. And also we want to find out why it hasn't worked for some of the other people too. There's no reason why we can't make it available for everyone. And we've done a lot of work on the preclinical models, which means mouse models, and we know it is amazing what it can be done when turned on. We've just got to find the slightly more complicated human immune system, how to push those levers and bells and whistles and just get it right.
In those instances where it's known, how is this turned on? Explain for us the process.
Well, it's actually very crude. It's very crude, and actually it's very simplistic. We all have an immune system. In fact, we all have little skin cancers all the time. When we go out into the sun, everyone going out there, cover up and all the rest. You will get mutations in your skin right now. On the back of my hand. See on the back of my hands, mutations. And they can go a little bit rogue. The cell starts to misbehave. It immediately kills. You don't even know. So this process of killing cancer cells is going all the time. Sometimes those cancer cells, natural mutations, whatever, from the sun, they just escape the first line of defense and they start to build up a lot more mutations. There's a big event. Or the person may be a bit more susceptible to making some extreme DNA breakages. Those cancers that then go on, but immune system is still being made. Immune response is still being made against the cancer, but the immune system has gone a bit sleepy. And the latest drugs basically just give it a kick in the pants and actually reawaken that part of the immune system which saw the cancer originally and go and kill it. So it's just a very minor advance, actually, in stirring up the immune system. What we really want to do is do combination therapy. We actually want to identify the antigens that have gone rogue in the cancer cell and combine it with these kick-up-the-backside kind of things, like, which is what Keytruda is in ipilimumab. It takes off the brakes. It actually just takes away some of the normal control elements of the immune system. But you need that original immunization to occur.
Interesting, isn't it? You mentioned before the chemotherapies, the radiotherapy. These have been the models essentially for such a very long time, bringing in foreign chemicals to do the job. This immunotherapy philosophy that the human body is actually very well equipped to deal with things like this, if you can give it a kick up the proverbial. Could you see it extending beyond cancer? Cancer is obviously an obvious one, but
cancer's the big one. It's where the money for the research and development is, because it'll save people's lives. But we see much further than that. We feel that it'll be actually used to solve a lot of the gut health issues, Crohn's disease, IBD. They're all overreactive immune systems. I'm personally, very confident that has a lot to do with brain health, dementia. We just don't know how the immune system works in the brain yet, and we hope that this kind of understanding how to turn the immune system off and on will actually help us in some way around dementia, stroke recovery, brain damage. Very important things if we can actually do to that. Aware of MS, multiple sclerosis, which is actually an overactive immune system working on certain motor neurons part of the brain. But atopic disease, all those things, I think that they can, as we learn to control the immune system with some of these natural molecules. I have to remind everyone, we're not doing anything bad with these new immune therapies. We're actually just using the power of genetics to make what we already make, just make it slightly higher concentration and give it back to the body. They're really derived from our own body's genes and cells and things. So
you're beyond excited about this.
Absolutely, because I worked for 30 years, and all you get is just a bit of it's never going to work, and we only knew it was going to work from our mouse models. It doesn't work in humans, blah, blah, blah. And this past 10 years, we've just seen it really does built up a whole lot of pent-up hope is now being realised, and that's a wonderful feeling for a scientist.
We started by talking about the importance of the immune system from a young age.
Yeah.
Is it ever too late to turn your life around? Like in your 50s, if you decide, like with smoking, you can give up smoking and you can regain some...
That's a big question. And actually, that's what we need to find out. Because I do believe you can reset. We know from when people get transplants and they get an immune system from someone else, from donors and stuff, you can reset things. And we need to find slightly safer and gentler ways. Transplantation is a very big issue for someone, and you really have
a risk of rejection too.
Exactly, and graft versus host disease and all this kind of stuff. But if we can find with our more natural molecules to actually do that, it's going to be a very interesting world. I think that one of the things we have to talk about, not just with the young people, where they're growing and evolving and educating their immune system, as people age, and as you and I know, we enjoy life. And it used to be that 60, you had to go and prepare your business, but now we can expect from 60 on to 90 a pretty good life. How to extend the working life of the immune system? Is it just immunization, or is it better food or different kinds of food? How do we actually train the immune system to last well into our 90s and actually do the things that really has been doing all its life, but perhaps we need to just think about that, how to extend things.
Well, let's look at food. I mean, we're a very agricultural country, of course we are, and meat is still a big part of the diet. Can you see, in light of what you were just saying, potential for us? I mean, we've talked about organics. I don't know if there's a view on that, or the use of chemicals, or is there some way that New Zealand, because we won't be able to be as reliant on meat as we have been in the past?
I think it's a very good point. Meat is a very expensive thing for humans to produce for other humans, and it's got all sorts of ethical and environmental issues about it. But how we actually have a diet that meets all the needs, our immune system probably does require some of the things that come from meat. We need to be aware.
We're omnivorous.
Yes, exactly. We're actually built and designed to be omnivorous. And there's nothing wrong with not having meat. You can survive, but you have to be aware of what's missing. And you need scientific knowledge of that. You don't want to be guessing by God. You actually want to have an informed body of evidence to know what to keep you going. Once you're an adult and once you're growing, apart from when you get to later age and you need to have extra foods of certain kinds to maintain the muscle mass and all the rest of it. No, you don't need to eat all the things you do as you're a growing young thing. And I think that we could lay off the big burgers and all that kind of stuff, because they come with a lot of other issues.
We hear this phrase superfoods an awful lot, and that's related also to the gut and the healthy gut. The healthy gut has become a big discussion point. Dr. Michael Mosley has been part of that conversation, but it is more in the public consciousness. Bacteria were bad. Now we understand that there are good bacteria.
For all the listeners there, I always have a bit of jaundice in the whole thing. We actually are still in very much the discovery phase, and there's always, I won't call them snake oil merchants because it's not, they're very sincere, good people, but these days, people to attract attention to some new ideas tend to overplay the data, and we don't know. We're actually on a very steep learning curve about just what is required with respect to microbiomes, what's a bad microbiome, what's a good... Can you even change the microbiome? It's a very interesting dynamic interplay between what our immune system allows to grow inside our gut. We have evidence that actually you can have a microbiome, but if your body doesn't want it, it's gone, it's rejected. So it's not as simple as just
even a good microbiome.
So it's a very complex interplay. So I think we have to wait for a lot more evidence yet. And I think one of the exciting things that's going on both at the Malaghan, actually in New Zealand in general, this high-value nutrition scientific challenge that the government has set up a few years ago, is trying to get really rich data about what is a good diet. What's a good diet for the immune system? What's the good diet for brain development? These are very exciting times. Bodies very quickly up to the age 20 and 30, but we don't know actually how to make a healthy immune system with our diet or a healthy metabolic system with our diet.
Professor Graham Le Gros from the Malaghan Institute.